nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thanks for having me.
Did you bring the medal?
I did.
Yay!
Oh, you did?
Good. Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah, she's heavy.
Beautiful. That is gorgeous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The first thing I noticed about Piper Gilles' Olympic bronze medal is the weight of it. It's heavy, not just in your hands, but what it seems to carry, especially for Piper.
Figure skating, ice dance, Cortina 2026.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like that medal, Piper's journey to the Olympic podium carries real weight.
So there's a line in the middle of this, circle medal that divides it into half. So half of it is my medal and half of it is our family and our friend, our support group.
Two halves of the medal, two stories, and both shaped by cancer. The first time, it was her mother. The second time, it was Piper herself. Same word, very different outcomes. In 2018, after the Pyeongchang Winter Games, where she and her skating partner Paul Poirier placed 8th in ice dance, Piper lost her mother to glioblastoma, brain cancer. Then, in 2022, after the Beijing Games, where they placed 7th, she faced her own diagnosis, ovarian cancer. It cast real doubt on her future in the sport and set the stage for an extraordinary return to the 2026 Cortina Winter Games.
It really was a journey to get there this season. So through all the ups and downs, I think it just felt like a golden moment for us, no matter what.
No matter what. That seems to be the through line with Piper. On the ice or in a hospital, she shows up the same way, steady, determined, and open to whatever comes next. This is Carry the Fire, a podcast by the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation featuring inspiring personal stories about what happens when world-leading doctors, researchers, and their patients come together to ignite breakthroughs in cancer diagnostics, research, and treatment. This is a podcast about innovation and radical hope. I'm your host, Lisa LaFlamme. In this episode, Piper Gilles and her remarkable road from ovarian cancer to the Olympic podium. By the end of 2022, something didn't feel right. After competing in Beijing, Piper and Paul were back training, this time with their sights set on the World Championships in Japan.
I was skating great. I was enjoying what I was doing, but I just felt off. And as the season progressed going to my first competition, I got there, and for me, I thought it was the stress of skating and competing. Like, I was nauseous all the time, and anytime I ate something, my body was just off.
At first, it was easy to explain away. Stress, travel, competition. But her body kept telling her a different story.
And then I came into the rink one day and my coach is like, "You look terrible today. You should maybe go see a doctor."
That visit led to a discovery, a 9-centimeter cyst on her ovary. And from there to Dr. Stéphane Laframboise at Princess Margaret Cancer Center.
Sure enough, we cut it right away.
Caught it right away sounds reassuring, but the path to that clarity was anything but simple.
So tell me, when you say they caught it right away, but you go through this process, and I wonder how the diagnosis actually unfolded for you.
Well, I mean, after the first blood work, I knew my cancer antigen was about 1,400. And I knew that the regular is, I think, 35. That's like above that, maybe triggering. And so for me, that really scared me. And I had a competition. I was supposed to leave the next day to go to Finland. And I was like, well, what do I do? Like, do I cancel going to this competition or whatever? And call the doctor. And she's like, no. Like, go live life, do your thing. We're going to do a surgery no matter what. So let me figure out when I can fit you in your schedule, which was amazing because I still had 2 other competitions to do.
What followed was a strange in-between space, test results, big decisions, and a competition schedule that didn't slow down. And somehow, Piper kept skating.
And how do you even compete or prepare to compete while you have this in you,
this
knowing there's a
thing.
surgery?
Yeah, and I remember she said, "Don't fall." And I was like, "Oh, good. That's good to know." That's a big ask for what I do.
And yet, something shifted.
I think at that point in my life, I think I just perspective switch was like, okay, let me go celebrate skating. Cause like my life is way more important. So the fact that I can do this, even though something crazy is happening else, like on the other part of my world, I had the balance in some way. So when I went to go compete, the weight of competing wasn't there anymore because my life was more important. And I actually thrived in that situation because I felt so relieved.
That's a
It's a
fascinating
very
perspective.
weird, yeah. And I don't know why the brain does that.
It's like I've got bigger things to worry about than this competition.
Yep.
When the stress was removed from that,
Mhm.
you were on fire.
I was on fire.
The pressure that usually defines elite sport loosened its grip. Suddenly, skating wasn't everything. Life was. And in that shift, she found something unexpected: freedom. She and Paul went on to win their next 2 competitions.
And I don't know what that was. Like we were just having the season of our life.
It's called great karma, going into a surgery knowing
Yes.
I've got this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think like that, I think is the important thing for me to share with anybody, having that perspective in life that like you get to do amazing things even when other things are not going your way. And I think that's so fascinating and interesting.
Call it perspective, call it clarity, maybe even a little bit of grace under pressure. But Piper's resilience didn't come out of nowhere. It was shaped years earlier during her mother's illness. Back in 2017, while training in Colorado Springs ahead of the Pyeongchang Olympics and just before a qualifying event in Finland, Piper noticed small changes in her mom. Subtle at first, then undeniable.
She wasn't stepping on cracks. She was like reading subtitles on the news, which she never did out loud. And she didn't know that she was doing it. So for me, that was a really odd thing. And she's like, I have headaches, but I always have headaches. I think we all tell ourselves, we always have this. So I ended up having to trick her to take her to the doctors. And within 45 minutes, like they knew that she had brain tumor. It was like a butterfly on the right and the left side of her brain at the front. And I think the second day we knew it was stage 4.
And that's glioblastoma.
Glioblastoma. And for us, like Canada usually has to qualify their Olympic spots the year before the Olympic Games. So that was a very important event for us. And we had to choose whether to compete or not and to kind of leave my mom at home, which she had her ticket to go to Finland and Helsinki. And that was really tough. Like I just burst into tears because you just can't control, what's going to happen. Like glioblastoma, you have anywhere from 5 days to 15 months. So you kind of just sit in the unknown for such a long time.
From there, life became a series of impossible decisions: compete or stay home, push forward or pause. But the answers weren't always clear, and sometimes they weren't there at all.
Was she aware, cognizant enough to know what was going on and to sort of instruct you or give you any advice on whether you should compete or not? I can imagine given her whole support of you your whole life, she would have wanted you out on that ice.
She definitely would have. But I think at that point, it's very interesting. I feel like it's a different perspective. I think my mom already had lost herself at that point because she couldn't actually talk to me and really tell me what she wanted me to do, which was very strange. So I just kind of chose to hope that that's what she would have wanted me to do and keep going towards my dreams because that's always what she wanted. But at that point, she couldn't really verbalize her life.
That loss of control stayed with Piper. It shaped how she would later face her own diagnosis.
And I think this is what's so interesting about going through your own cancer journey and going through someone else's cancer journey is I was in control of my journey. With my mom's, I had no control. And that was the hardest situation I've ever had to be in because every time I saw her, she was a little bit different and almost not the same person.
Despite everything, Piper went to Korea. She competed and placed 8th. Her mom died just a few months later. Then 4 years went by. It was December 2022, and Piper received her own diagnosis.
How did Paul react? Because you'd built such an incredible bond, and it makes me weep to watch the two of you skate, to be honest. You're like one person.
Yeah.
How did he react when you told him about your own cancer, and how did he support you through that?
Well, it's kind of funny. So I didn't tell Paul when I found out my cancer antigen was really, really high, because I just didn't want to put that pressure on him to help me, because he's going to want to put me first. I know that about him. So I needed to kind of put myself first and not tell him and figure out, what's my next step.
For someone she describes as her other half on the ice, it was a heavy thing to hold back. But Piper needed a moment to process it on her own, to understand what she knew, and just as importantly, what she didn't. When she did tell Paul, she kept it simple, just the facts as they came. No spiraling ahead, no what-ifs, just one step at a time. And then came the surgery. What doctors found was more than a cyst. It was a tumor.
And so on my birthday, which is when I opened up the results online, when I found out that it was stage 1 ovarian cancer, it was very, very shocking. Very shocking.
It's a pretty harsh birthday
and
note to receive.
Yeah, and I think that's why my doctor wanted me to not fall, because she didn't want it to break. And that was really, really important that I didn't do that. And I did fall one time. At the last competition, I fell, and I remember, going over to my coach, and she's like, "Are you okay?" Because I told her, I was like, "I can't fall." And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm okay. Everything inside me feels okay. I'm just gonna hope that it's okay."
And still, even in that moment, Piper stayed focused on what was in front of her, the next step, the next decision. She underwent laparoscopic surgery to remove the tumor, along with her appendix and nearby lymph nodes. Doctors were able to remove all of the cancer. 2 weeks later, she was back on the ice. The World Championships were just 3 months away. Not surprisingly, the comeback was not perfectly smooth.
I had very strict rules as to what I could and couldn't do. And I did push myself a little bit too far at some point. And
So what happened then when you pushed yourself too far?
because I had to go through your abdomen, it was like small little tears. So I was scared that I gave myself like a hernia. So luckily I had gone in and done some tests, and there was no hernia. There was just some swelling for me. So I had to kind of pull back on my training a little bit.
What got you back on the ice so soon?
Well, I was really lucky. I have a really good athletic therapist who kind of gave me a plan. And as an athlete, we love structure. So every single day I went in and I was like, okay, what can I do today? And she's like, you can go for a tiny walk today at maybe 5 minutes. And I said, okay, I can do that. And then next week, what can I do? You can do 5 squats today. You can do, rolling on a ball a little bit, trying to find your abdomen, your core a little bit. You can do some arm lifts. So every little thing that she gave me, I did. We kind of treated it as almost like a pregnancy. So I had a pregnancy belt too, to kind of keep my core super strong and not overstretching. So we worked around it a little bit, and I slowly incremented my time on the ice so I didn't go crazy right away.
5-minute walks, a handful of squats, tiny wins that slowly added up. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. And through it all, Piper never quite saw it as a crisis.
I never did. And I don't know, maybe it's just I protected myself and I didn't allow myself to go there. I felt like it was more of a crisis when I tried to skate the next season, was trying to get my body ready. It didn't feel like myself for almost a full year until I felt like I was able to perform at my maximum again.
That doesn't mean it was easy. It just means she chose where to put her focus. There were flashes of anger, of course.
I think when I had found out when my cancer antigen was really, really high, that's really when I had the first panic of like, this is unfair. I've lost my mom to this already. Now I have to go through my own journey. But when I found out that, I didn't have to do any chemo or any extra stuff, I was like, I had to change my mindset. This is now my new reality. Now what can I do with it? So I didn't have a lot of pity time. I had this like reality check of like, no, okay, I get to continue my life. Like, what do I want to do next? And I think like that really helped me move forward and not continue to look backwards.
That shift changed everything. It also deepened something her mother's illness had already started to teach her: how to listen to yourself.
I think I gave myself a lot more grace.
What does that mean?
Like to be not hard on myself for being, I guess, sick, because it wasn't my choice. It just was my body. So I had to kind of just be like, well, this all I can do is just try to figure out how it either does this run in my family? Like I was like, all right, sisters, like you go, I'll get checked, do all these things. So I just felt like I became more proactive and I didn't feel guilty for being ill. And I was just like, okay, this is it. Like we know the other end, I'm not going to die, like I know that. And I was so grateful for, my body awareness that what sport gave me. And then I think because of my mom, I had to learn to use my voice to speak up for things that I needed. Like if I didn't want to go into skate that day because I felt so sad and so miserable and my mental health really needed to get stronger. So when it came to my own journey, I was just like, okay, like I need to use my voice and say, today I don't feel good. So I'm going to come in and skate and we're going to do bare minimum. And that's that. And I'm going to be happy. And like everybody was like, okay, that's that. We're going to be happy.
And incredibly, just months after surgery, Piper and Paul competed at the 2023 World Championships in Japan. They won bronze, a huge moment. And at the time, a quiet one, because Piper hadn't told the world yet.
I think I was scared that people were like, oh, she's gone. She's done. Like they're washed up. They're never going to skate again. But I wanted to figure it out for myself before I was ready to speak out about it, mentally, because I really find I struggled so much more after cancer than I did during it.
What followed was, in many ways, the harder part. Life after cancer, the uncertainty, the question that lingers for so many people. Will it come back?
If I continue skating, is the stress going to make it come back? Or am I going to be as successful as I was when I had cancer? But it was like the more I talked about it, the more I opened up a community for myself. And that's specifically why I announced it on Ovarian Cancer Awareness Day on May 8th, was that I'm bringing awareness to something that is so silent, the ghost cancer. And I was like opening a community and a door for myself to fit in a way. And it was so wonderful to see other people reach out to me and say, thank you for speaking about this. Like I've been through my own, or, I'm feeling this, which was really similar to what I was feeling prior. I was like, okay, well, go get checked, go do this, do that. So I was like using my voice for good, but also helping myself in a way, like just to heal and express that like life can go on.
Support, gratitude, connection. What had felt isolating suddenly felt shared.
I don't regret it at all. Like I don't know, there's something so beautiful about a journey, even if it's messy. I think like you can look back and find, moments of light. So for me, like that was a light moment to be like, okay. And I felt like a weight was lifted. Like I don't have to carry this secret anymore.
By the time the 2026 Olympics arrived in Cortina, something else had shifted too. The nerves, or more specifically, the lack of them.
Like, I don't know what it was. Paul and I both kind of look around. We're like, are you nervous? And he's like, no. And I was like, I'm just ready. Like, I'm just ready to have fun. Like, we just felt so calm. And I've never felt that at the Olympic Games. Like there's extra pressure.
Yeah, of course.
And like there's extra buzz and it's fun, but the energy rises inside of you. And it didn't in those moments. Like it almost lowered and it like allowed us to be great, which is such a strange thing. But again, I think a lot of things that happened in the last couple of years leading up to this moment allowed us to overcome one of the hardest things that an athlete can go through is the Olympics. So we celebrated with peace, basically.
Instead of pressure, there was calm. Instead of fear, peace. And in that space, Piper and Paul delivered a bronze medal performance that reflected everything they'd been through to get there.
I think that releasing the pressure of, not putting, like being like, it's all sport or nothing, having that perspective shift, but also taking the weight off of like, we already are successful. I think that allowed and inspired us to be great. And which is kind of funny, like hearing me say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, you're right. But like, it takes time and it takes perspective to kind of like realize that.
Not just skill, perspective. Now, on the other side of it all, Piper is still skating, still setting goals, just holding them a little differently. She came to our conversation straight from training, and as for her health, she's in remission, with doctors keeping a close watch. They've also helped her think about the future in another way, a family.
So for me, that was so important that my doctor like went above and beyond to even suggest that I do something like that. So my partner and I have 10 embryos and they're all tested and they're all good to go. I loved that about Princess Margaret, and my doctor was that she was so adamant about like, let's figure out what's next for you in your life and let's make sure that you can have that.
It's one more example of something Piper returns to again and again, looking ahead.
What do you think then that cancer taught you that elite sport never could?
That it's just sport.
It's a striking thing to hear from an Olympic medalist, but for Piper, it's clarity, hard-earned, deeply lived.
If you could go back and talk to yourself the day you were diagnosed, what story would you tell that young woman?
I think I would tell her to basically find light digging in the dirt, really. Because again,
find light digging in the dirt.
Because you're going to go through it. You're going to go through it and it's going to be hard. It's going to be messy, but like that light's going to be there. So just go for it and keep digging, keep digging, like keep finding it, but you'll get there.
Find the light, even when it's buried. Keep digging.
Is there anything else I didn't ask that you feel you want to talk about or mention or as a message or whatever for the people that listen to this who just adore you so much and watched you and followed your path?
Yeah, I guess it's more of a thank you to anybody that's been a part of my journey or who's watched our journey. I think I appreciate that they have allowed me to truly be myself. I've kind of evolved over the years from being bubbly and happy and jolly all the time to being a bit more honest and real. And I think they've appreciated that in a way that it's kind of scary, to be so vulnerable with strangers and even family. But I'm just so grateful for them to be always in my corner. So it's more of a thank you, and thank you for just allowing me to be me.
If there's one thing Piper comes back to, it's that none of this happens alone. Not the skating, not the healing, not the hard days in between.
It's a pretty rough world sometimes, and it's rare that we hear someone say, people were kind. And I think that's what you've experienced, the strength from strangers.
Yeah, it's funny. I think when I was younger, I think we had to be strong. And I think at that point, people weren't as kind. They were just like, we have to be individually strong. We can't help each other. But then as I got older, I was like, no one really told me that, like, we can be strong together. So I feel like if I can kind of communicate that and just show that, like, it takes a village, kind words go a long way. I think it can help at least change the way we look at life.
Strength, yes, but also kindness, community, people showing up for each other. A simple idea, but not an easy one. And maybe that's part of what makes Piper's story stick. You've been listening to Carry the Fire from the Princess Margaret, a world-leading cancer research center. If you found this episode meaningful, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. To learn more, check the show notes and share this podcast with friends and family to help create a world free from the fear of cancer. I'm Lisa LaFlamme. Thank you for listening.